to date, we have victims of the Kiambaa Church, where William Ruto himself was charged for that heinous crime before the ICC, still crying for justice and crying for compensation. If Mr. William Ruto is a human being that he purports to be, and is a human being that he wants to indicate that he is, let him first of all compensate his victims of Kiambaa Church. And I deliberately use the word his victims because he was charged for those offenses. Now, we must understand that there is no legal framework where this compensation can be anchored. There must be a serious legal framework that can have these processes anchored in. So he has begun his processes of lip service. By the fact that he has not anchored these processes in law, it means for him, it means that he's doing it for political expediency. First of all, I want to register my displeasure with the so-called compensation team or committee that has been constituted. This compensation committee is ill-fated. It has not been constituted in good faith. It has been constituted to try and answer some of the questions that are currently pending before the U.S. Congress. One of the questions is that is pending before the U.S. Congress from the people that I have seen and the people that is credible is the question of the violation of human rights. So Mr. Kasongo is attempting to answer and try to preempt that process to be seen as a good man who cares and who is responsive to the violations that have taken place. But the more insulting thing is this. You issue orders to kill, they are executed, and the orders are implemented. People are killed. Then you come and say, oh, I am so remorseful, I'm so human, I want now to compensate these people. That is actually the highest level of hypocrisy. Number two, as you say that you want to compensate these people, you have not put into place the framework to address the question of justice. Families are not crying out for compensation. Families are crying out to have the perpetrators of those heinous crimes brought to book. That is what is ailing the families that have lost their dear ones. There cannot be peace without justice. You remember even during the Nuremberg Tribunal, the Turkey Tribunal, Professor, you remember these after the Second World War? There was a resemblance of some justice that was being initiated. You might even want to go back here to Rwanda. There was a resemblance of a justice system that was put into place to address the issues that were ailing the community. Compensation alone cannot be the basis upon which a nation will heal. Compensation alone cannot be the basis upon which a nation will be reconciled. There must be an action that will be taken to deter the repeat of these actions. But if the police and the perpetrators of these heinous crimes understand that the only thing that will happen is compensation, and that they'll be able to get away with it, then you are encouraging a repeat of all this that has happened, and it's about to reoccur. Number two, the fact that they have tagged it to 2017 to date, again, is an insult to the legitimate expectation of Kenyans. The legitimate expectation of Kenyans is that all those individuals who have suffered as a result of trying to actualize themselves or in the effort of self-determination will have, one, justice being done, two, compensation being done. This is to buttress what Professor Naituli has indicated, that you cannot have a cut date of 2017, when to date we have victims of the Kiambaa Church, where William Ruto himself was charged for that heinous crime before the ICC, still crying for justice and crying for compensation. If Mr. William Ruto is a human being that he purports to be, and is a human being that he wants to indicate that he is, let him first of all compensate his victims of Kiambaa Church. And I deliberately use the word his victims because he was charged for those offenses. Number three, as I pen off, we must understand that there is no legal framework where this compensation can be anchored. There must be a serious legal framework that can have these processes anchored in. So he has begun his processes of lip service. By the fact that he has not anchored these processes in law, it means for him, it means that he's doing it for political expediency. If I listen to Professor correctly, and Professor is a legislator, I am embarrassed that Professor has not begun by saying that we need a legal framework. For example, if individuals will not be considered for compensation in this particular committee, what is their recourse? How will they go? Where are they supposed to go to say that I was a victim, I have not been compensated, or rather have not been considered? Number three, the manner in which the individuals are sitting in that particular committee have been constituted or appointed, again, is an insult to our expectation. There is no way a process like this one, which involves families that have lost their dear ones, some of them have been maimed, properties has been lost, and then you say that State House can sit and just constitute a body without the involvement of the real stakeholders. This is lip service. It is not welcome. We are considering on what we need to do, whether we are going to just sit down and see Kasongo consolidating his dictatorship by issuing decrees from State House. That's a fan of what is happening in the US with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua is just telling the people what it is and what has been happening. He's a whistleblower. And therefore, there is no possibility that a whistleblower who is protected by the law can become the subject of the law. That an individual who finds himself aggrieved can then say that he'll take recourse against the whistleblower. Professor will tell you that in this country we have enacted a Whistleblowers Act, a parliamentary legislation that exists. And when he says that Mr. William Ruto is involved with Al-Shabaab, you only need to look at the events that have unfolded. All right, one of them being...
I'm sorry to butt in. Can we go to that particular topic much later?